society goes on, I realize that there's so much unacceptable situations that we come across that are somehow acceptable. Like, take a look at glazing. I bet if we would have went back to the 1700s and somebody caught you glazing, that would have been an immediate sent to the guillotine. Why the fuck are you glazing that? Like, the way these people be applying glaze to their favorite influencer would have you questioning how much of this white stuff do they have left. Hey, yo. And don't get me started with the coats. It actually blows my mind how big some of these coats be and how far they would go to protect and help their idol. Some of you guys may know this, but a streamer named Aiden Ross would bring a girl on stream one day, and this girl would go by the online personnel of Demi Sucks. But not until Aiden Ross viewers got curious, so they're trying to find out who this girl is, where she came from. But to their surprise, they found out that she was with another streamer before Aiden Ross, and that streamer would go by the name of Silky. And let's just say the Aiden Ross viewers were not so happy about that, so they would do what any normal Aiden Ross viewer would do at the time. And that was to dox him. Disclaimer, I like Aiden Ross and his fans. Long story short, what I'm trying to say is that these coats will go all out for their favorite influencer. And whether you like it or not, that's glaze. When did we allow glazing to be this acceptable? I remember we used to flame people for trying to give out their own opinion. But somehow now it's acceptable to pour your whole soul and heart out just for your favorite influencer. Number 2, fashion. The problem all started ever since people started calling bad fits goofy fashion. Like, take a look at this fit. In what occasion would you wear this? And somehow this is considered goofy fashion. I feel like people who actually wear these fits should be considered in the early stages of being a psychopath, because there should be no reason why you're walking around in this fit. And some of these quote-unquote goofy fashion fits just be downright disturbing. And I can't tell if it's the model that's disturbing or the fit itself. Like, this is actually unacceptable. How do people somewhat accept this? But you have to give credit where credit is due, and that's towards people who actually put that shit on. Like, let's take a look way back where people were wearing this, and you can't tell me if you would have saw this in person, you would have stopped and said to yourself, that's drippy. Like, already Jewish people be making me question my drip when I see them wearing this in public, because this is actually tough. But if we're talking about modern day dripping style, we tend to see a trend of people wearing like this mixture of vintage baggy stress, overly flared pants, and designer type fits. But one fashion style that really stands out among the others is the vintage style, and me personally, that's my favorite style. But where it starts to get unacceptable is where it gets over excessive, because there should be no reason why you look like you got abducted from the 1900s and got sent back to recent times. Look, there's 2 ways to style vintage. Number 1, vintage, which is like you're just wearing the clothes from back then, but you're not even trying to piece the clothes up. You're just trying to look as vintage as possible. Number 2, vintage. And this is the style that I'm referring to when I'm talking about vintage. It's like you're taking clothes from the 90s to the early 2000s, and you're actually trying to piece these clothes up to make a fit. Moral of the story, stop calling bad fits goofy fashion. Number 3, fat acceptance. I can't believe that people are still glorifying this madness. And that's not me saying that I hate fat people or that I'm fat phobic. What I'm saying is that fat people make it worse for themselves by digging the hole deeper. If you were to see a fat person in public just minding their business, in your mind you're like, okay. But it's a whole different ballgame when the fat people are speaking about how being fat is good. That's almost like if I were to say, goon 8 times a day. It will make you smarter. They're not making arguments supporting my claim. Like, why would you want somebody else to participate in something that will make their quality of life worse? I'm pretty sure Abraham Lincoln said, everything in moderation is okay, just don't do galaxy gas. Same thing goes for fat people, because we know the problem. The problem is food. But it always puts a smile on my face when I see a fat person in the gym doing cardio, they're working out, they're trying to get better. They want change. And that's my favorite fat people. But the fat people that I don't like are the ones that do too much. Like, for example, fat people like to use their bodies to get their point across. It's almost like they know that they're fat, and they're trying to convey with the opposing team, which is the viewers, with what they're saying is right, and to join their addiction, which can lead to an increased rate of obesity, and if not worse, death. So if you're fat and you're trying to better yourself, that's good. That's fantastic. But if you're fat trying to get worse, yeah, GG's, buddy. And that concludes the topic, the problem with public acceptance. If you enjoyed the video, like, subscribe, and maybe comment pineapple. But until next time, subscribe, bro.